Today we have a fairly easy job. It's a 2006 Hyundai. It's an Accent. It's a 1.6 liter engine. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing the oil and the filter. As you can see, we do have the car up in the air. Now let me just show you where everything is located underneath here and give you an idea of what we're going to be doing. Alright, this is the underneath part of the car where the oil drain plug is located. This is the drain plug right here. As you can see, looks like the drain plug is somebody's rounding it off already. They didn't use the correct tool on it. Usually it's a 17mm socket. So we're going to take that out and drain the fluid, and then we're going to be replacing the oil filter, which is located right here. So let's get a bucket. We're going to grab some tools and let's get started. Alright, probably a good idea is always to wear rubber gloves, because it's a lot less of a mess to have to clean up. When you're wearing the gloves, you just take them off and throw them away. So let me grab some tools, and we're going to take that plug out and we're going to drain the oil. I just want to point this out. You always use the correct wrench. You never want to use the open end portion of a wrench on here. You'll see one of my other videos, you'll see somebody who did use the open end part of the wrench, and they rounded this drain plug out, and it turned out to be quite an expensive ordeal. So don't use the open end part of a wrench. Always use the box end. If you don't have a wrench, then you can use a socket. I use a 17mm socket most of the time, and you just hit it counterclockwise, and you take the drain plug out. Now, just so you know, it is going to squirt out of here. Once the plug is fully removed, it's going to leak. It's not going to drip straight down. It's going to come squirting out. So make sure you anticipate where the oil is going to go and be prepared for it. Okay, while the oil is draining out of here, we're going to let it drain until it stops coming out totally. Now is a good time to, while you're draining out the fluid, make sure that your oil drain plug is in good condition. Make sure that the gasket is not damaged. You don't want to put it back in and wind up with a leak. In this case, the gasket is still in good shape. So we're just going to let all that oil drip out of there right now. And in the meantime, we're going to go up to the front, and we're going to remove the filter. A couple of different tools they have to remove it. One of them is like this. It's a cap that actually goes over the top of the filter like this, and you can take it off. Or in this particular case, I'm going to use a tool like this, and we're going to remove the filter. The filter sits up like this, and we're going to remove it with this tool. So let's do that. Okay, now that the oil stopped draining out, we're going to reinstall our drain plug. You basically just screw it in by hand as far as you can go, and once you've got it as far as you can go by hand, then you can tighten it up the rest of the way with your ratchet or your wrench, whatever you have. Remember, you don't want to over tighten it. You're going into an aluminum oil pan, so make sure you just snug it up there, enough not to leak. There is a torque spec on it, but I don't think that's looking up. Okay. Then we're going to go up in the front, and we're going to take that filter off. And remember what I told you about the filter. We're going to put this on to the filter, and we're just going to remove it counterclockwise. It comes right off. Remember, the filter is going to drain also, so let it drain out. Okay, one thing I want to point out is that this gasket on here, make sure that this gasket comes off because if that gasket stays up there, you're going to have a problem with a leak. So when you take the filter down, make sure that the gasket on here comes off and that there's no gasket still up on the housing up there. If there's a lot of dirt or debris on it, wipe down the housing so you don't have any leaks. And then what we do is you put a bead of oil onto the new filter, O-ring, and you screw it on by hand as tight as you can once it stops draining out. Alright, and you tighten it up as tight as you can by hand. You don't need to tighten it on with the wrench, just tighten it by hand, and then just wipe everything down so that it's nice and dry. And then we're going to lower it down, and we're going to put the oil back up in the top of the car. So let me lower the car down and we'll come right back. Okay, now that we got the car back down on the ground and everything is complete underneath the bottom, this is where your motor oil goes into, on the top right here, on the top of the valve cover. What I always recommend you do is whatever the oil calls for from the manufacturer, you want to use that oil. I know a lot of people have different opinions on it, but if it's recommended to use a 5W20, make sure you use a 5W20. Don't use anything else. All right, so let's put the oil in here. We're going to fill it up to the capacity. It calls for 3.49 quarts of oil, so we're going to put in about 3.5 quarts, and then we're going to start it, and we're going to check the oil level to make sure that it's full. I always use a funnel because it never fails. You'll always wind up making a mess. Like I said, it's the 5W20 motor oil. Make sure you use that oil. Okay, now that we have the 3.5 quarts of oil in the car, we're going to remove the funnel. Make sure you put your cap back on, and then we're going to check the oil level to make sure it's full after we run it for a couple of seconds. So everything is all wrapped up here. We're just going to start it, let it run for a minute, and then we're going to check the level. After it runs for a couple of seconds or so, we're just going to take and check the oil level. Just take the dipstick out, wipe the dipstick down, and the oil level is supposed to be between this little notch in the stick and this one. This is low and this is full. So we should be very close to the full mark. Let's just check it, just to confirm. And as you can see, it's exactly up to the full mark right now. So we know that we have the correct amount of oil in it. We ran it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the car itself, and we're just going to check to make sure that there's no leaks underneath there. And if everything is nice and dry, then we should be in good shape. All right, so oil cap is on, dipstick is in, oil filter is tight, oil drain plug is tight, and that's it. We're all set. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.